All right guys, a graphics kit is a great way to clean up your bike, make it look good, make it look new again. It's really not that hard to do it yourself. I got mine on eBay. They're not always perfect fits, but they're close. We're gonna get one installed here and I'm gonna show you some tips. But to start, you're gonna wanna get your old stickers off. If it has a graphics kit on already, peel that off. Sometimes they peel right off, but it is easiest to use a heat gun, or if you don't have a heat gun, blow dryer. Steal one from your wife, that'll work great. You're just gonna heat them up, it's gonna loosen the glue, and you can peel them off. So you only need a couple things to do this. You're gonna need some type of soap. I mix either Dawn and water together in a spray bottle or Simple Green and water. That'll be your first step for cleaning the plastics. And then I also clean with rubbing alcohol. So get some rubbing alcohol. You'll need a couple rags and a heat gun or hair dryer, also a pair of scissors, and of course your graphics kit. So first step, you're gonna wanna choose the panel you wanna start on. I would choose an easier panel just so you kind of get the feel for it. And then you're gonna wanna clean that panel really good. So first, you're gonna wanna take your soapy water, spray it down, wipe it off really good, and then go over it again with your rubbing alcohol, clean it really good to get any grease, glue residue, things like that. If you do have deep scratches, you may want to take some sandpaper just to rub off the high spots. If you have high plastic bits sticking out, that'll show up under your graphic as like a little bump. Doesn't look real nice. So since I'm doing the right shroud first, I found that graphic, it's right here. You're gonna wanna cut this out and stay pretty close, and we're gonna cut the piece out nice. And this is gonna be part of the way you apply it easily. So just cut around it. All right, once I cut the whole way around it, I'm just gonna take that edge, the part that's not part of our decal, and then peel that off. So obviously we don't need that. Now the part that makes installing graphics difficult is you get this big section of vinyl that's really sticky, and you go to stick it on and part of it grabs somewhere else, and you're trying to stretch it around, and it's creating wrinkles and all that kind of stuff. So the best way to do it is to leave the backing on and to peel it off and work your way around. But you want to start in the middle. Now, this has this extra flap here. This obviously isn't the easiest piece to do, but I want to show you guys how this works with a more difficult piece, so then you guys can do it on your easier ones first to learn this method. But you're going to want to pick kind of like a halfway point through here. And I want to separate this part because this is going to be pretty annoying. So I want to split this here on the paper, not the graphic. We're not cutting the graphic. And then I'll probably split this along here. So if I flip this over, I'm going to peel up the backing paper in the middle. And once that's picked up like that, I'm going to cut the backing paper. This part's not real critical how or where you cut it, just in your area. Don't cut your vinyl. And then I'm going to take one side of that, or two sides if you want, and then fold that back, leaving a little bit of the sticky section there. I'm going to do that again over here. I'm going to do the big section first. So I will fold this back, and I'll do this part later. So I'm actually going to unfold that now that I think about that. We'll fold this back so that doesn't stick while we're trying to line things up. And this will be our starting point right here, this sticky part. But now with it cut out like this, we can set it on the bike here and get it lined up before we stick that on. And if it's not lined up when we stick that first part on, we can pull it off. When you're dealing with a whole graphic with all of this off, it's almost impossible to fix it once everything starts sticking everywhere. All right, so I can kind of line this up here, see how it's fitting. And you can see that already stuck on, but not a big deal. So we want that kind of out to the corner. This will come down somewhere around there, and you can see sometimes these graphics will even have spots on these cheaper ones that you get online, spots that you're gonna have to like actually trim off, but we'll see. And the closer you cut this paper here to your graphic, the easier it'll be to line it up later. I'm gonna stick that on lightly there and then check, make sure this stuff is getting close. And sometimes the alignment on these will be off a little. We can actually kind of stretch that and form that as we go. This actually looks pretty good here. So here's how this will work. Here's the trick to all this. Now that you got that piece cut off, I'm gonna take this finger and I'm gonna hold the other end here with my other hand and then peel a little bit of this off and then take my thumb and run it along on my finger and slowly stick that down, making sure that I'm staying aligned and that I don't start heading in a weird direction. So I keep this corner where I want it, and I'm sticking this down. So on the bottom here, this part right here, you can see isn't going around the corner and sticking. Don't worry about that for now. That's what we're gonna use the heat gun for later. We'll just keep going with the easier part here. I'll keep peeling this off here. All right, so now I'm getting pretty close. I'll peel this till almost the end, making sure I'm pretty lined up here. Looks like I'm dropping a little, so I'm gonna wanna pull this up a little, and now I'm getting a high ridge here. This one, you're gonna wanna grab your heat gun, put a little heat into that, not a lot, and that plastic will start to soften up, and that's gonna let you work that out, just like that, no wrinkle. Now I'm heading back the direction I wanna go. Make sure that's stuck on there, just like that. Now the only other thing here, you wanna roll this around the bottom, and you'll see if you're going around too much of a corner, it's not gonna wanna stick. In fact, this vinyl now is hanging off the bottom. I'll probably trim that off later. But if it's not going down and it's making little wrinkles, hopefully this shows up somewhere else here, you'll be able to see. Just heat it up and then work it, and those wrinkles will squish together and then disappear. So now that we have that done, I can work the top half of this. Once again, I'm gonna hold this up where I want it to go. Work my finger around here. Now you can see I'm starting to get some wrinkles up here. When you start seeing that, you're gonna peel back a little bit. Now heat it up, just a little. It just softens the plastic a little, and you'll actually see the vinyl relax there. And now I'm gonna work this again around the corner, around the bends. See here, I got this little bubble. I don't want to press that in without heat, or that will cause a wrinkle. I'll just heat it up. You can see it relaxing there. Now, pressing from the middle, I can push that out, just like that. When it's warm, make sure you're not stretching it. If you stretch it too far, it's hard to get it to go back to where you want it. I'm seeing that I'm gonna have some trouble with this part here. So definitely wanna get some heat in here. All right, so we got this side done here. I'm gonna peel this up, a couple wrinkles in there, and then just start over again with my thumb. Once you see those wrinkles not smoothing out, pull it back a little, add a little heat. Keep working it, a little bit at a time. Now remember, do not start with your shroud as your first one. This is probably gonna be the hardest one on your bike, depending what your bike is. All right, I do see I got a couple wrinkles down along here. So I'm gonna peel that up, add a little more heat this time. Now press them in from the middle of that wrinkle. You kind of start to get a feel for how to get rid of those wrinkles after a while. All right, so that'll need trimmed a little bit there. I have a little bit here that didn't set down. I wanted to add heat on to do that. So warm that up. All right, like that. I see a little piece is not pressed in here. Yeah, now you can look over, find any wrinkles you might have missed, heat them up. Oftentimes a wrinkle right on the edge, you can just press out. So not the greatest fit here on this kit. The more expensive kit you get, the better it's gonna fit. So I gotta go through, trim off some of these edges. Maybe I'll wrap that around, I don't know. Try to make that look a little nicer, but I gotta get the rest of the graphics on this bike here. It's gonna look way better. And just keep in mind, you're gonna notice all these little details, maybe the bolt hole not perfectly lining up, stuff like that. But when you get on your bike and start riding, you're gonna get this thing all dirty. It's gonna get scratched up from riding through the woods and all that, so it's not gonna matter. It's still gonna look awesome. So get it as good as you can. The big thing though, make sure it's nice and clean. You don't want them peeling off, and take your time. Work it with your fingers slowly around. Use heat when you need it. Start with easy panels, work your way up to the more difficult ones, the ones that have more angles, larger sections, parts that hang off like this. They're definitely gonna be harder. So take your time. I hope you found this video helpful. So hopefully you can save some money or upgrade your bike, make it worth a little more if you're gonna sell it, things like that. I think you're gonna be happy you did it yourself.